we go to today's major announcement from the Environmental Protection Agency, proposing regulations for existing power plants to limit carbon dioxide emissions, also known as greenhouse gases. The EPA says coal and gas-fired power plants are responsible for at least 25% of the carbon pollution generated by the United States.
So this Biden administration proposal marks the first major effort by the federal government to actually limit emissions on power plants that are already in operation since the 2015 Clean Power Plan was struck down by the Supreme Court. It would also apply to future power plants. Joining us now to put it all into context, Jay Duffy. He's the Litigation Director for the Clean Air Task Force. Jay, good to see you. So let's talk about how this rule eliminate emissions from these plants if they continue to burn fossil fuels.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. So in today's proposal, EPA recognizes a lot of realities and keys the proposal to them. Coal plants are aging and retiring. Irrespective of federal standards, many fossil plants are operating less often, and pollution controls are getting a lot cheaper. So generally, the proposal provides a pathway for those older plants that are approaching retirement and smaller plants that don't operate as much to control their pollution based on fuels and efficiencies, while at the same time avoiding major investments that would cause a plant near retirement or operating infrequently to operate longer or more frequently. But for the largest power plants, those that are operating the most and polluting the most, EPA determined that carbon capture is the best control for greenhouse gas emissions. Carbon capture is a scrubber. It's akin to those that have been used to clean up sulfur pollution, which EPA has successfully based standards on for decades. So at a reasonable cost, carbon capture can eliminate nearly all of the emissions coming from these plants.
That sounds like pretty significant modifications and an aggressive plan to go after these pollutants. What's the deadline for these plants to implement this technology?
Right. So we'll be seeing emission reductions starting in 2030. There's a lot of lead time built into these proposals. The states have an opportunity to write plans to comply with them. And there's time to permit, to build, and install these pollution controls. But we'll be seeing some significant emission reductions starting in 2030.
All right, so how does this compare to President Obama's Clean Power Plan? What are the major differences?
Sure. So if you think of the Clean Power Plan as, at least the Supreme Court did, too novel or ambitious, and the Trump Affordable Clean Energy Rule as weak in the extreme, to me, we've finally made it to Baby Bear's chair with this proposal. EPA did exactly what the Supreme Court told it to do last year when it rejected the Clean Power Plan. Base the pollution limits on traditional pollution controls that cause the power plants to operate more cleanly. The power plant owners then will have the option to comply with the standards in any way that really makes sense for them. That could be by installing carbon capture or some other technology, or even deciding that it makes more sense for them to shift over to renewable energy.
All right, well, Jay Duffy, thank you very much for explaining that for us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.